The wait is over. The silence has been shattered. King Charles III, a man who spent 70 years pacing in the shadows, has finally, irrevocably, stepped aside. But it is not the smooth, dignified transition the palace orchestrated. It is a bloodbath. As the ink dries on the instrument of regency, stripping Charles of his executive power and handing the ultimate authority of the British crown to his son, a shockwave has been unleashed inside the palace walls. Prince William and Princess Catherine are not just taking the reins, they are dropping a bombshell so catastrophic, so utterly unprecedented, that it has left the royal family reeling. And no one, not even the king himself, saw it coming. Queen Camilla is reportedly stunned, sitting in complete, paralyzed silence as her entire royal world crumbles around her. The woman who fought for half a century to secure her place on the throne is watching her empire evaporate in real time. What William and Catherine just announced changes the face of the British monarchy forever. It is a ruthless, calculated power play that bypasses tradition, humiliates the queen consort, and sends a terrifying warning to anyone who dares to challenge the new reign. The age of Charles is over. The era of William and Kate has begun, and the first casualties are already falling. If you think you know the dynamics of the royal family, prepare to have your mind blown, because what William and Kate just did is the ultimate royal betrayal, or the ultimate royal rescue, depending on which side of the palace walls you stand on. The fairy tale is dead. The magic is gone. What remains is a stark, calculating institution, fighting for its life in a modern world that no longer believes in the divine right of kings. The walls are closing in, the secrets are spilling out, and the House of Windsor will never be the same. To understand the sheer magnitude of the bombshell William just dropped, you have to understand the devastating reality of Charles's surrender. King Charles is a man defined by his weight. He waited through his mother's record-breaking reign. He waited through the humiliation of the Diana years. He waited through the marriage to Camilla. He waited for the crown like a man starving for a meal. And when he finally got it, it began to kill him. The cancer diagnosis was the final crushing blow. Charles tried to push through. He tried to maintain the illusion of control. But the human body has limits, and the pressure of the crown is immense. Every public appearance became a painful spectacle. Every wave to the crowd was a struggle against exhaustion. He looked frail, he sounded broken. The carefully curated image of the indefatigable monarch was disintegrating with every single public outing. Behind closed doors, the king was rapidly losing his grip. He was becoming paranoid, obsessed with his legacy, and terrified that his secret financial dealings, the billions hidden in offshore accounts, the massive payouts to Camilla, would be exposed. The palace machine, once a well-oiled engine of public relations, was sputtering and failing. The king was isolated, surrounded by sycophants and terrified aides who didn't know how to tell him the truth, that he could no longer do the job. The ultimate decision to step aside was not born of dignity, but of desperation. Charles realized he could no longer manage the sprawling royal estate, navigate the political minefield of the British government, or control the explosive family dynamics. He was a dying king clinging to a sinking ship. The weight of the crown, the very thing he had desired his entire life, had finally crushed him. He signed the regency documents with a heavy heart, believing he was handing the monarchy to his son to protect. He believed William would continue his vision. He believed his wife Camilla would be protected and honored. He believed the transition would be smooth, quiet, and dignified. He was dead wrong. The moment Charles stepped aside, he lost his shield. And William and Catherine, watching from their residence at Adelaide Cottage, struck like a lightning bolt. They didn't wait for a grace period. They didn't offer a polite transition. They executed a plan that had been years in the making, a plan designed to ruthlessly excise the rot that had been eating away at the foundations of the monarchy. William and Catherine have spent the last decade playing the long game. They smiled, they waved, they performed their duties with flawless precision, building a reservoir of public goodwill that is now paying off in massive dividends. They watched Charles's chaotic reign with mounting horror. They watched him elevate Camilla to queen, alienating the public. They watched him bungle the crisis with Kate's health, allowing the palace PR team to release that disastrous, digitally altered Mother's Day photograph. They watched the Sussexes tear the family apart while Charles sat paralyzed by indecision. They knew the monarchy was on life support, and they knew that when the time came, they would have to take extreme, drastic measures to save it. The moment William was handed the power of the regent, he and Catherine didn't call a press conference. They didn't issue a polite statement. They convened an emergency meeting of the royal household and issued a direct, uncompromising decree that bypassed all traditional channels. The shocking news? Prince William, as Prince Regent, announced the immediate unilateral restructuring of the royal household and the line of financial succession. He declared that the era of the extended Windsor is dead. He announced the immediate stripping of royal titles, HRH styling, and public funding from a massive list of minor royals. The freeloaders were being cut off. The hangers-on were being escorted out. But that was just the beginning. The true bombshell, the decree that left Camilla stunned and Buckingham Palace in chaos, was the Queen Consort Protocol. William and Catherine announced that upon the official passing of King Charles, Camilla will not retain the title of Queen Dowager. She will not remain at the center of the royal family. Instead, she will be immediately removed from the royal residences, stripped of her private royal allowances, and will revert to the title of the Duchess of Cornwall. William didn't just stop there. The decree explicitly stated that Camilla's family, the Parker Bowles clan, will be permanently banned from using royal styling, royal residences, or royal connections for any commercial or social gain. This is a total, ruthless erasure. William and Catherine are essentially telling Camilla, "You were the king's wife. Now that he is stepping aside, your time at the top is over." The sheer, unadulterated ambition of this move is staggering. William and Kate are not just taking power. They are rewriting the rules of the monarchy to ensure their absolute control. They are consolidating power, purging the old guard, and sending a message that the era of complacency, scandal, and half measures is over. The new monarchy will be lean, it will be disciplined, and it will be utterly ruthless in its pursuit of survival. Imagine the scene. Camilla has spent 50 years clawing her way to the top. She endured the wrath of the British public. She was called the most hated woman in Britain. She was blamed for the destruction of the fairy tale marriage between Charles and Diana. She was the villain of the royal narrative, a woman who dared to love a prince and brought the monarchy to its knees. But she waited. She weathered the storm. She played the long game. She married Charles, slowly rehabilitated her image, and finally, against all odds, achieved her ultimate goal. She was crowned queen. She thought she had won. She thought her position was secure. She believed that Charles's secret will and his unwavering devotion would protect her forever. She believed that the billions he had stashed away in offshore accounts and secret trusts would ensure she lived out her days in billionaire luxury, regardless of what the public thought. And then, in a single moment, William and Catherine pulled the rug out from under her. When the news of the Queen Consort Protocol was relayed to Camilla, sources say she was stunned into silence. Not angry, not screaming, just stunned. A cold, paralyzing realization that the power she had spent her entire life acquiring had just been stripped away by the one person she couldn't manipulate, the future king. Camilla thought she had a powerful ally in Charles, but Charles is no longer the power. He is a sick, sidelined monarch. The moment he signed the Regency papers, Camilla lost her shield. The man who moved heaven and earth to make her queen no longer had the authority to keep her there. She is now trapped. If Charles passes away, she doesn't get to stay in the palace. She doesn't get to be the queen mother. She doesn't get to wield the soft power she has carefully cultivated for decades. William and Kate are showing her the door. The public reaction to Camilla's downfall is a mixture of shock and vindication. For the millions of people who love Diana, this is the ultimate justice. The woman who was blamed for the people's princess's heartbreak is finally being cast out of the castle, but the speed and ruthlessness of the move have left even the most hardened royal watchers breathless. William isn't just reforming the monarchy, he is enacting a personal vengeance. He is protecting his mother's legacy by ensuring the woman who tormented her will never sit at the head of the royal table again. And Camilla? She is scrambling. Her legal team is reportedly in overdrive, desperately trying to find a loophole in the Regency decrees. But William has been meticulous, working while being study iawasotao. With Catherine, they have drafted a legally binding framework that leaves no room for interpretation. The Crown's legal apparatus has already aligned itself with the new regent. The power has shifted, and Camilla is on the wrong side of the throne. We are witnessing the most dramatic royal coup in modern history. William and Catherine have seized control, sidelined the king, and stunned Camilla. But before we dive into the catastrophic fallout inside the palace walls, we need you in this with us. If you think William and Kate are doing the right thing by cleaning house and removing Camilla, hit the subscribe button and drop a 1 in the comments right now. But if you think this is a brutal betrayal of a dying king and his wife, hit subscribe and drop a 2. We need to know where you stand, because the royal family is reading the room. The palace is watching the public reaction to gauge their next move. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next massive update. We are just getting to the most terrifying part of this royal crisis. Now, back to the chaos. While the world focuses on Camilla's humiliation and William's rise to power, there is a forgotten man sitting in the dark corners of Buckingham Palace, King Charles III. The king is reportedly devastated, heartbroken, betrayed by the very son he handed the crown to. Charles stepped aside, believing he was doing the noble thing. He believed William would step in gently, manage the day-to-day affairs, and allow Charles to live out his final days in peace, surrounded by his wife and his legacy. He thought he was passing the baton, not handing over the keys to the executioner. Instead, William used the transfer of power to launch a hostile takeover. Charles is watching his wife be publicly humiliated. He is watching his secret financial arrangements be dismantled. He is watching the meticulously crafted image of the modern, inclusive monarchy he dreamed of be replaced by a cold, streamlined, ruthless institution controlled by his son. The relationship between father and son, always strained by the weight of duty and the ghost of Diana, is now shattered beyond repair. Charles believed he could control the narrative from his sickbed. He believed that by retaining the title of king, he could still exert influence, but William's decree has proven that a monarch without power is just a man in a castle. The title means nothing if the authority has been handed to someone else. Charles is a king in name only, a ghost haunting the halls of his own palace. Charles is weeping for his wife, weeping for his loss of control, and weeping for the realization that his reign will be remembered not for its achievements, but for its spectacular public collapse. He waited 70 years to be king, and in a matter of months, he lost it all: his health, his power, and his legacy. William has effectively imprisoned his father in a gilded cage. Charles is allowed to remain in the palace, allowed to receive medical treatment, allowed to wear the crown on ceremonial occasions. But the power is gone, the influence is gone, and the wife he sacrificed everything for is being escorted out the back door. This is the cruelest cut of all. Not a political maneuver, but a deeply personal, painful severing of the bond between a father and his heir. The monarchy may survive, but the family is dead. Let us not forget the other architect of this bombshell, Princess Catherine. For years, Kate Middleton has been portrayed as the quiet, smiling, dutiful wife. The woman who walked 2 paces behind her husband. The woman who kept her mouth shut and her wardrobe immaculate. The perfect plastic princess who never had a bad day and never made a wrong move. But that was a carefully constructed illusion. Kate is not just a pretty face, she is a master strategist. She is the woman who survived the brutal, backstabbing world the royal family, outlasted the Meghan Markle media onslaught, and emerged as the most popular royal in Britain. She learned from the best, and she learned from the worst. She watched Diana be destroyed by the system. She watched Meghan be crushed by the system, and she decided she would not be the next victim. And she has a score to settle. Kate knows the history. She knows what Camilla did to Diana. She knows the pain, the suffering, and the ultimate tragedy that was inflicted upon the mother of her husband. Kate has spent years building her own power base, cultivating relationships with the public, and quietly amassing the leverage she would need to protect her family. When Kate was struck down by her own terrifying medical crisis, the palace tried to control her. They released that fake photograph. They threw her under the bus to protect the institution. Kate was furious. She realized that the palace machine, controlled by Charles and Camilla's cronies, would sacrifice her health and her reputation in a heartbeat to protect the king's wife. They didn't care about Kate. They only cared about the survival of the crown. That was the moment Kate decided to act. Working with William, she began to draft the plan that would become the bombshell dropped today. She didn't just want to take power, she wanted to cleanse the palace of the toxicity that had been building for decades. Kate's role in this coup cannot be overstated. She is the one who provided the moral justification. She is the one who connected the dots between Charles's secret billions, Camilla's elevated status, and the public's eroding trust. She told William, "If we are going to rule, we rule alone. No more dead weight, no more secrets, no more Camilla." This is Kate's revenge, not a screaming, tabloid-fueled tantrum, but a cold, calculated, perfectly executed dismantling of the woman who tried to replace Princess Diana. By ensuring Camilla is stripped of her future titles and removed from the palace, Kate is securing her own position as the undisputed queen. There will be no Queen Dowager hovering in the background trying to exert influence. There will be no Camilla family members lurking in the royal gardens. Kate is clearing the decks. She is making way for her own reign, and she is doing it with a smile and a wave, hiding a heart of steel behind a perfectly tailored coat. The public doesn't just support her, they are in awe of her. They are watching a woman who was once a commoner take down a queen. It is a drama so compelling, so perfectly timed, that it reads like a Hollywood thriller. The meek princess has become the ruthless monarch. The woman who was once blamed for the monarchy's problems is now its savior. The bombshell dropped by William and Kate isn't just about titles and protocol. It is about money. Billions of dollars. When Charles stepped aside, he left behind a financial empire that was largely designed to benefit himself and Camilla. The secret will, the offshore accounts, the massive payouts to the queen consort, all of it was built on the assumption that Charles would be in power for decades to protect it. William and Kate's decree instantly freezes those arrangements. As Prince Regent, William now has the authority to audit the royal finances, and he is not wasting a second. The decree effectively halts the $150 million payout that Charles secretly arranged for Camilla. It freezes the Swiss bank accounts. It places the private revenues of Balmoral estate back under the control of the crown, stripping Camilla of the personal income stream she was promised. William is systematically dismantling the financial fortress Charles built for his wife. He is taking the billions that were meant to buy Camilla's loyalty and redirecting them to save the institution. But where is the money going? William and Kate have announced that the funds will be redirected into a newly created Windsor-Sover Trust. This trust will be used to fund the core working royals, William, Kate, and their children, and to pay for the upkeep of the historic palaces. But here is the kicker. The trust will be managed by an independent board of trustees, not by the king. This is a massive concession to the public and the British government. William and Kate are recognizing that the only way to save the monarchy is to make it financially transparent. They are sacrificing the family's secret billions to buy public goodwill. They are trading the hidden wealth for the survival of the institution. This move is brilliant, but it is also terrifying for the rest of the royal family. Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and even the minor royals are watching their private allowances evaporate. William is drawing a hard line. If you don't work for the crown, you don't get paid by the crown. The extended Windsor family is in absolute uproar. They have been living on the royal teat for generations, enjoying tax-free wealth and private estates without having to do the hard work of public engagements. Now, they are being cut off. The gravy train has derailed. The free ride is over. The financial purge is the ultimate proof that William and Kate are not playing by the old rules. They are not interested in preserving the family's lavish lifestyle. They are interested in preserving the crown itself. And if that means cutting off their own relatives, they will do it without a second thought. The British public, struggling with a cost-of-living crisis, is watching with grim approval. The royals are finally being held accountable. And what about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, sitting in their Montecito mansion, are watching the royal chaos unfold with a mixture of vindication and irrelevance. For years, Harry warned the world that the royal family was a toxic, abusive institution. He spoke of a family that prioritized money and image over mental health. He talked about the hierarchy, the backstabbing, and the relentless media manipulation. He revealed the invisible contract between the palace and the tabloids, the way they traded stories to protect the favored heirs and threw the outsiders to the wolves. As William and Kate dropped their bombshell, Harry's words are echoing in the ears of the British public, but Harry and Meghan are not part of the story anymore. When Harry left the royal family, he thought he would be a constant thorn in their side. He thought he would be the one who forced the monarchy to change. Instead, his brother did it for him. William and Kate's ruthless purge of the royal family is exactly the kind of action Harry had been advocating for. But Harry isn't the one pulling the strings. He is sitting on the outside, watching his brother do what he could never do, actually rule. The Sussexes are reportedly silent. No statements, no podcast episodes, no Netflix specials, just silence. Because what can they say? William just proved that the institution is as ruthless as Harry said it was. But William also proved that Harry could never survive in it. Harry didn't have the stomach for the coup. He ran from the battlefield, and now he is watching from the sidelines as the real war is waged without him. Harry's ultimate punishment isn't being cut off from the billions. It is being forced to watch his brother take the throne, clean house, and do it without him. Harry is irrelevant to the future of the monarchy, and that is the cruelest cut of all. He wanted to change the system, but the system changed without him. He is just a spectator now, a cautionary tale, a prince in exile who traded his birthright for a life in Hollywood. The bombshell dropped by William and Kate isn't just a family drama. It is a full-blown constitutional crisis. The British government is in absolute chaos. Do you think William and Catherine did the right thing by stunning Camilla and taking absolute control? Or have they gone too far, betraying a dying king and plunging the monarchy into a constitutional crisis? Comment below with your verdict. And if you think there are even more secrets buried in the royal vaults, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell right now. We are just scratching the surface of the royal web of lies, and the next leak is coming sooner than you think.